Page 49, dotted quarter notes. They have several different pieces, examples, melodies with dotted rhythms in it, and these are common melodies if you live anywhere around the Western Hemisphere, the United States. Other parts of the world, they may not be quite so common. The idea is if they can give you melodies you're familiar with, that are examples of this, it helps you to get a grasp of what these dotted rhythms are like. I go into it a little deeper than that. I'd like you to really understand the construction of a dotted rhythm, because the rule applies to anything, and this way you can apply it to anything, any dotted rhythm. You've already had dotted half notes, and you know the dot gets half the value of the note, and that's across the board. It doesn't matter what the note is, that's the rule, depending on the time signature. We've been doing 3/4 and 4/4, so let's stick with those time signatures. In which case the quarter note gets a count, a half note gets 2 counts, so a dotted half note would get 3 counts. That's the way it works here. Well, now they're introducing dotted quarter notes. Well, a quarter note gets 1 count, so the dot's going to get a half a count. 1.5 counts total. And that's okay, you've had eighth notes. You already know an eighth note gets a half a count. So a dotted quarter note plus the eighth note together would be 2 counts. 1.5 for the dotted quarter note and half for the eighth note. 2 counts total. They cover all of this on page 48. It's all nice and boring. You're just going to love it. And when you count it, it's 1 and 2 and 3, depending on the counting. Let's just go with 3/4 times so I don't have to count to 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So if I just pick a note and pretend it's a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's as long short. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's the way that works. Now we have to be careful. They have a thing at the bottom, a little line at the bottom, which says that they're always followed by an eighth note. That's not correct. They will be followed in most cases by something of equal value to an eighth note. There doesn't have to be an eighth note. There are smaller notes, 16th notes, 32nd notes, 64th notes, and whatever, that can follow it. It doesn't have to be an eighth note, but it's going to be something worth an eighth note's value, or multiple things put together equal an eighth note values. In this book, it would just be eighth notes. So let's talk about this first piece there on the top of page 49. It's just the melody. Silent Night. You've all heard Silent Night before at one time or another. Just count it out very carefully. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's the 3/4 time, and the dotted quarter note gets 1.5 counts. So the eighth note comes on the and of 2. So it's 1 and 2 and. So it's the and of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And you hear Silent Night. The idea though is we count it out carefully, because the short note sometimes is shorter or sometimes longer. So if you count it out, you have a better chance of getting it the correct shortness. You don't want it too short, you don't want it too long. It's got to be right there. We'll get into that other stuff later. Just right now, just make it accurate. In the second one, Deck the Halls. You get that? You're familiar with this piece? We count it out very carefully because it's got those dotted rhythms in it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then the third measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. The third one down is Auld Lang Syne, played around New Year's. You've heard the melody. Again, the first full measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and etc. And the last one is Here Comes the Bride. Ta-da. Count it out very carefully. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. We've got a half note in there. Third measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Now I've demonstrated all these. I'm going to go ahead and do a play with me on each one. I'm going to count us in on each one, and I'm going to invite you to play along. Just to check the rhythms mainly, really. The notes aren't hard, but just to get the rhythms. So let's do these, all 4 of these, one after another. I'll count us in each time. Now this may not seem like much to you, or very important to you, but for a lot of people, I have a lot of different viewers at a lot of different ages, and us older people don't learn all that quicker. So I have to go through this very carefully to make sure I've covered it for everybody who might watch this video. So some of you are going to be bored stiff. Get on with it. Others are struggling to understand, and that's why, in case you're in the category of get on with it, this is what's going on. I got to go slow for us old people. I'm going to give us 3 counts to start with, because the first piece is in 3/4 time. Then I'll give us 4 counts for the second and the third and the fourth. Each of those, because they're in 4/4 time, except the third one has a pickup beat. So I'm only going to give us 3 counts for that. Have I confused you yet? I'm working on it. I'm trying. Stick around. So go ahead. The first one's just right hand here, C position. So let's try this. 1 and ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Second line, I give us 4 counts. This is in middle C position. You need both hands here. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and off. 3 counts here on the next one. 1 and ready and go, and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. They didn't finish the piece. Well, we need another beat in that measure. Last one, 4 counts. 1 and 2 and ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and